So a quick distinction between instructional design and learning experience design. So instructional designers, as I mentioned, are more content oriented. They're mostly given a topic and they run with it. They search for the content that's needed and they put together things. They are more kind of execution type of people because they're not really learner centric. They're given that topic and they produce the content based on the learning goals that they were given. And they're mostly production oriented. So their performance is mostly measured by how much content they produce. And they're mostly on the execution side of business problems. So they're given the solutions concepts and they're asked to actually create content based on that. And I've worked with education team in the company that I've been working with. And the team is actually producing courses and trainings based on the release of the software of that software company. So the software is updating, it has new features, and each time there is a new feature, they produce a new feature course and they have to produce it in a particular time crunch. So they're not really going for learner research or building empathy, they're just going for content, talking to SMEs. Their way of creating things are not really delightful, or they're not thinking about user friendliness or things that are surprising or gamification. So they're really into the production of things, just getting things out there. But of course, instructional designers is just a title. You can be doing learning experience design work while your title is instructional design. Most importantly, these are really like very light distinctions because I think both of them merge. But on the other side, when we say learning experience designers, they're mostly learner-centric, so meaning that they take their time to empathize with the learner through research, or they just put the learner at the heart of their work, meaning they can leverage research that's already out there. And mainly they focus in on learner pain points and needs, and that's what their design is all about. They're also design-oriented, so their performance is actually measured by the impact that they have on the learners and on the business rather than how much content do they produce. And lastly, they're super solution oriented. They play a role in solving, like they're trying to solve business problems above everything, and they provide solution-based insights and work, designs, learning assets, and they also know that whatever they are tackling as a problem may or may not be a learning problem, may or may not lead to a training or a course or a workshop. So sometimes they are there to actually tell that the solution is actually not training or learning. Maybe the solution is an email or a workshop or team alignment or conflicts or negotiation problems. So this is kind of the learning design process. So if you haven't seen this, there are different variations of this. It's taken from the world of user experience design. I won't really go into the details of it. I have a separate course on this called Think Like a Learning Designer. But I just wanted to pause here and let you know that when I mentioned the distinction between the two is that instructional designers are more on the post-design phases. So they're only maybe developing content, multimedia, and they're posting it, deploying. And then learning experience designers, they're actually more on the discover, define, and design spectrum. They're likely going to share their designs with instructional or content or multimedia developers who bring their solutions during the develop phase or deployment. So sometimes they're not even doing develop, deploy, they're really into these three phases. They just design the experience, they do the concepts, the testing, the learner research, learner empathy, etc. But sometimes for me, for example, I'm a learning experience designer, and usually I do all of this. I don't have the luxury of having an instructional developer or multimedia person to help me bring to life my learning designs. So just FYI, just so you can visualize really where the two are. And of course, things merge. They can do all of them, all these phases or not. Again, they really have a lot of things in common, but that's just a small distinction that I have seen throughout the years.